What's telling dudes, it's Strawberry here, and welcome to this tutorial for my very own efficient original ice farm. So, that time lapse took about 15 minutes or so, and in that time about 70 ice blocks have been stored, which is really nice. The one thing I like about this farm is that it's fast and at the same time it's cheap, compact, easy to build, and you also don't have to worry about it ever breaking, and you can just leave it alone. So when you come back here you have 70 blocks of ice which you can harvest at your ease, and then when you leave you can immediately come back like after an hour and there'll be another 70 blocks of ice or so. The maximum amount of storage for this farm is about, so it's 99 blocks for this ice tray, another 11 underneath the slabs, so that's 110 ice block storage, that's maximum. And then of course this freezes pretty quickly as well. And the reason behind that is because, so the mechanic with ice freezing is that ice will always, like water will freeze a lot quicker whenever there's a block on the edge of it. That's just how Minecraft works. So underneath all of these pistons you have there's glass underneath all of these, so the ice will form along all of the center parts as well as the sides, glass here, and also the piston on this side. And the entire farm is run off this bud switch. Now the bud switch will activate only when the ice freezes next to it, and then after that the blue part will fire off, sending all of the ice blocks which have already frozen up in front of the red part, and then the red part will send the ice into the ice storage where you can go collect it at a later convenience. Sweet, so let's get to building it. First of all I'll show you exactly what you'll need, and then we'll get to the steps of building this sort of ice farm. A quick disclaimer before we begin: you have to build this ice farm in an area where water will freeze. Don't build it in a desert because ice won't freeze over there. You're going to want an area where it's above 120 and it's in a cold biome where ice can freeze, or you want to build it in a cold biome like ice spikes or frozen ocean. Don't build it in a place where ice can't form. Make sure you test the ice can actually form before you build this farm, otherwise it's going to be a waste of time. But that being said, let's do this. So everything you're going to need is in this chest. So on my top row I have the blocks I'm going to be using. You don't need glass, that's simply just to make it look better. You don't need to put glass in this build, but we are going to make the farm out of blocks of quartz, and then you're going to want some blocks where you can chuck your redstone on in case the redstone washes away and you have to fix it later. You'll know where you want to put the redstone. And then you're going to need 9 slabs, and that's to make sure that some of the water doesn't freeze. Then you're going to need some water, of course, and access to a water source. Then for the redstone you're going to need 20 normal pistons, 1 sticky piston, a transparent block, in this case you can use glass or a fence. I'm going to use a fence, a lever, 13 redstone repeaters, 21 redstone dust, and 2 redstone torches. So we're going to grab all of these, and we're going to get that, and we're going to get that. So to begin with, you're going to want an area where you can store all of your ice. This is going to be 1 layer, and we're going to be making the 9 wide ice farm, although you can expand up to 14 blocks. You just have to build everything along a little bit more. And I've marked it out here, so you need 9 by 11, so 9 wide this way, and then 11 long that way, and at the very end, the long end of the 11, that's where you're going to build your ice farm. So if you come to the long end, the very end of the 11 long part, you're going to build down 1 like so, and then you're going to build a row of blocks like so. I'm going to use glass because it looks nice. And then you'll want some pistons facing up like so, and this is where your ice is going to form. And then you'll want to build, you're going to want a block there and there on the very ends of the pistons, and then build a border all around this area. This is where you're going to hold your water, so make sure you have a border where you don't want water to escape. And then at the very end over here, or the other side, if it's the other side, then just make sure to reverse this, place a piston upside down like that. And then last of all, with your pistons, is you're going to want to place pistons like so, facing towards the ice storage, and that's going to be there. And then also what you want is, with your slabs, you're going to place slabs here, which is 1 block above where the ice is going to be stored. This is just to make sure that the ice doesn't, the water here doesn't freeze. So this works all the time. You don't want this water to freeze, otherwise this ice farm might freeze overall. Sweet, we're going to make the bud now, and this controls the entire farm. So what you're going to do to start is place a block underneath this upside down piston, and then place your transparent block, which in this case is going to be a fence. Place 3 blocks like so, and then one airspace underneath the fence, place a normal piston facing up like so. Then place a block in the airspace, and then place 2 blocks like so. Expand this block on the side over here. You're going to place a lever, and that's going to power a repeater, which goes there. And then on this block you're going to place redstone dust. Expand that along that way and add a redstone repeater facing away from the redstone dust. Sticky piston facing up with a block on top. Place a block on the side there and there. Place a repeater here on 3 ticks of delay, and then place a redstone dust on top of that block. And then come over to the side of this redstone dust. Place a block on the side. Place a redstone torch on top with a block on top, a redstone dust, and a block on the side. And that is the bud actually that controls the entire farm. Alright, to power these pistons you're going to place blocks along the bottom faces of all of these upside pistons. Then come to this block over here, this redstone dust, and then build a 2x9 platform along here like so. And then what you're going to do is place redstone repeaters facing into all of these pistons like so, and then hook this up to this redstone dust here, redstone dust all along here. Those will power the repeaters and those will power the pistons. And then lastly what we're going to do is power these top pistons. So you're going to come to this block and then build 1 block lower like so, and then place a repeater facing away from that block. Place a block in front of that repeater, place a redstone torch on top of that, block on top, and then place a row of blocks all along like so, and then redstone dust along like this. And this should always work, so you can test this by placing a block there. And then if this works, or you could place one here as well, if this works, then the blocks will always be pushed up and then pushed by those pistons out into the storage area. Sweet, that is it for this tutorial. I just want to leave you on a few notes before we leave. You're gonna have to make sure that you are careful about light sources, otherwise you could melt the ice in this farm. So what I've done here is I've provided a quick example to what sort of template, what sort of design you could have for this farm. I've made a transparent floor out of glass, that way when it's dark and the ice doesn't have much light, then mobs won't spawn. And then for the outside I've got glass panes, and then it's a nice little design feature. And then in the back what I've done is I've added some light sources. These are some places which you can place your light sources, and as you can see none of the ice melts. So over here you'll want to place torches on the back of these blocks. Don't put glowstone here, it's too close to the ice and it will melt them. You can add glowstone or torches here, and then you add a glowstone here as well to light up the bud switch area. And then on top of here you can add some slabs as well for some extra looking features, and it does look really nice and professional. But that's gonna do me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. If you have an idea for another tutorial, then let me know. Other than that, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, then make sure to hit that like button or subscribe if you want to see more. Cheers for watching guys, and I'll catch you guys on the next tutorial or video you want to watch of mine. Cheers for watching guys, I'll catch you guys next time.